Welcome, I'm Matthew with Dr. G in Technology, and today we're going to be discussing the 8 different ways to get paid in IT. Before we talk about different ways to earn multi-streams of income in IT, let's talk about some of your motivators. Whether you are a beginner, experienced individual, or advanced professional in the IT career, we realize you come with different motivators and different fears. So for example, if you're a beginner, you might have the motivator of finding that new job, finding that new career, better stability. Whereas your fears might range from the learning curve in IT to not being able to do the job to perhaps a bad boss. Whereas those of you who are experienced, your motivators and fears range differently. Your motivators being in IT might range from finding that meaning of work to getting a career raise and or finding better career development and promotion. And your fears might even range from assuring that you can afford a home, fear of being stuck in a job, or just flat out burnout. And then if you're advanced, maybe somebody who's been in the career field for longer than 5 years in IT, your motivators might be ensuring that you find that meaning of work with job satisfaction and public recognition, whereas your fears might range from fear of being replaced by automation to somebody younger or just not getting enough money to save for retirement. And so we recognize all those motivators and fears that you might have. So let's continue. Now realize it's taken me 25 years to get to this point, and what I learned was that I need to share how I earn multi-streams of income in IT with you so that you can benefit as well. Why get paid? PAID stands for Passive and Active Income Diversity, meaning I think you should have more than just one full-time job, because I think one job is a bit too close to zero if something happens, right? So I also know that in the IT industry, we have a shortage. So we need other people who are coming into the IT industry to benefit, as well as those in the IT industry to contribute towards other streams of getting knowledge out, working out there in IT, and of course, in return, you get paid for it, right? I think your skills are too valuable to maybe just benefit one employee, right? So let's talk about PAID, right? So PAID is in general this concept that you can hold a full-time job if you want to, or use any one of these 8 to make a living, right? It's something I've done over the years, and I certainly recommend it. So I'll be ranking these 1 through 8 different types of ways to earn income in IT by its difficulty factor to get started, how hard it is to earn, let's just say about $100 a week, and how difficult it is to maintain and stay with them. So I'll be referring down to my notes here, if you don't mind, because we have quite a bit to go over here in a short period. So first up, a repair technician. I think this is the easiest to get into, and especially for somebody who wants to learn and be hands-on, right? So you can hop on, let's just say, a contracting company who farms out different kinds of repairs technicians for all sorts of things, right? To go repair a server, go repair a switch, download software for a company, and whatnot. I think the most difficult thing here is going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but that can be shortened by watching a lot of our videos here that we recommend, as well as getting a certification over time. So I think that's the easiest. Next up, moving into contractor status. You might have a little bit of experience now under your belt. Perhaps you were that repair technician, and now you are moving from gig to gig, right? And as a contractor, you have flexibility, right? So maybe you're not necessarily tied to one employer, but you really like this contracting company, or maybe you're going out finding contracts yourself, right? So that to me is the next level up, to where you're just kind of moving from one gig to the next and so forth. From here, I think the next place you go to is consultant. And what's the difference between contractor and consultant? To me, if you're moving in the consultant arm, you now have a bit more experience, but you are likely going to want to explode your company into more than just you, the contractor, and develop a contracting company filled with consultants who can do the kinds of things you can do, so that you can work on the business rather than working in the business, right? So that's the difficulty in terms of becoming a consultant, is that you're likely going to want to grow this as a consulting company. And so you yourself, who aren't working in the business but on the business, will now have to be doing some RFPs and looking for bigger jobs to feed those contractors who are working beneath you, right? Next up, author. Things start getting a bit more difficult here, because typically publishing doesn't pay a whole lot, right? And so you have to find that right publisher who likes your creativity, likes your knowledge to pay you. However, what you do gain here more than anything is credibility. People start to recognize that you are becoming a bit more of an expert just based on what you do, just by publishing. And so the difficulty factor here is really just coming up with what that next idea is going to be, right, over time. Next up is trainer. So as a trainer, the difficult part here maybe for some people is confidence, public speaking. It's making sure people can understand that you know how to convey a message and teach them in a language they will understand. And that can be really difficult in IT to do when everything can be bits and bytes and ones and zeros, when it really should be about relationships and trying to figure out how to problem solve with other people, etc., to find the right solution, right? So becoming a trainer, I think, is a great thing. It's something I moved into pretty quickly, and the difficulty factor here is that you have to practice or perish, meaning if all you do is train over and over again, well, at some point you might lose your edge. You're going to lose your skill over time. So you have to kind of keep your toe in the water of practicing different things of IT, some of the things we mentioned before, like being a contractor, repair person, or what have you. So I think trainer is a great move right in the middle in terms of difficulty factor, earning money, and getting into over time to get paid. Next up, expert. So as an expert, your practice is recognized now. People understand that you are somewhat of a go-to person in your field or your industry. And so here, some of the difficulty factors aren't necessarily getting the next gig, but it really comes down to your negotiation skills and how willing you are to not really budge on price, right? All negotiation requires some type of back and forth typically, but at the end of the day, you don't want to devalue your skills, because then you won't get paid as much for them. And like you heard me say earlier, one of the reasons for getting paid in IT is to ensure that you don't devalue, but I think your skills in IT are so valuable that this will be a skill you'll learn over time in terms of being an expert, right? Next up, a content expert, such as publishing these kinds of videos, right? Or creating a blog or a vlog, newsletters, what have you, right? At this point, you know the game very well. You have different skills in IT, whether they be cyber, data, what have you, and you're ready to kind of publish to the world and teach others in a way that means publishing content. And so what this means is the difficulty factor here is getting people to know you, like you, and trust you, right? I've heard that over and over again in many, many different settings regarding people who are content experts, and they're right. It takes a lot to get somebody to do all three of those, because if they can do all three of those, life becomes a bit easier for you because you've gained that confidence. And so as you build content, you build rapport with others, and it takes time, right? To get paid with this, you may be thinking about something like Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee like we discussed earlier. And typically someone who wants to become a member of your content world, you're talking about maybe 1 in 10 of anybody who ever sees your content. So a very difficult thing to do in terms of maintenance and keep it going, but not as hard to do in terms of getting it started. Once you get it started and get people to know, like, and trust you, then the money theoretically might flow in, as well as those followers. So it's a difficult game to do, but if you just like what you're doing in general, then I think it's a great way to go. Last up, board membership, right? At this point, it is all about trust, all about relationships, and people who know you and people you know. People will ask you perhaps to join boards, committees, etc., just based on your expertise, your fit within them, and you should theoretically get paid for this. Now, there are even companies that you can join and hire to get you on boards as well. So some money might come out on this one, even more so, just depending upon how hard you want to go after this. But to me, this is very much being at the top of the game. You probably have gone through all 1 through 7 of these, and now 8, board one, as I have, and these are all ways you can get paid. So hopefully these all make sense to you. So where do you go from here? Well, we invite you to join the next 100-day challenge by clicking the link above or below. The next 100 days are a series of emails that last less than a week long that unveil what life will be like for you as you challenge yourself over the next 100 days. This is something that you're given a playbook as you join leadership ranks, but isn't shared as much as those who are below leadership ranks. And so we invite you to join this. And essentially, this is going to speak to you as a beginner who's looking to start their career and reduce their learning curve. Those of you who are experienced, the goal of the next 100 days is to challenge you over 100 days to gain leadership skills, to get paid better, and potentially get a promotion. And those of you who are leaders already, and by that I think somebody who's over 5 years in IT, our goal here is to really get you to advance your life's work and introduce you more so to getting paid in terms of how to do this. You've heard about the 1 through 8 different lists that I have of different ways to get paid, but how do you do it specifically? That then moves into getting paid, becoming a part of the paid IT professional community. So we invite you to click the Get Paid in IT link either above or below, and here you'll be asked to join us in our community where you'll attend a free webinar and we'll introduce you more so to the model to get paid in IT, to learn more about what it takes to do any one of the 8 different ways to get paid in IT. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you, and we'll see you on the next one.